I'm fired up, boys. I mean, I swear to goodness. I'm trying to be PG here. Hold the mic up with no hands. Smash the like button, boys. Let's fucking go. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the best day of the week here at High Top Sports. Listen here, I got to go on a quick rant before we dive into this thing, okay? I was prepared, beyond prepared for this show. If anybody knows me, I am the least prepared person in this entire world. I usually get ready for the show about 2 to 3 hours beforehand, 10 minutes before the show. I send old Swolderquist a text saying, hey, here's what we're talking about. Good luck, see you in 10. That's usually how this thing goes. Had some time on my hands. I go, look, it's a little bit of a slow weekend. Let's put on a show for the boys tomorrow. Stayed up late, put together graphics. I did math yesterday. Not quite sure why, but I did. Had everything ready to go. I was prepared, but I'm never prepared. You know why? Because you never know what the world's going to throw at you. It's sometimes ready. It's better to be ready than to be prepared. And thank God I'm always ready, boys, because Nick Saban dropped an absolute bombshell on us today, boys and girls, and we're going to talk all about it with, of course, the co-host of the evening, sitting at 6'2", benching 445 15 times, Mr. David Swolderquist, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for the big man, baby. Hope that one's still going. Let's go, boys. Holy shit, Dave. What happened, Dave? Dave.
It's a slow news day, isn't it?
Dave. What happened?
Whoa!
Dave. This has flipped the college football world on top of its head. We have so much to talk about. We have some Gator stuff to talk about too. There's a lot we got to go over today. Again, I had a full-blown, exciting show ready, which we are going to have a fantastic show. I am beyond fired up. Nick Saban calling it quits. It's got everybody in questions. Take a look at this. Just a little teaser here. We've got the coaching map that we're going to discuss here in just a moment, how this thing shakes out. We got coaching heads. We've got things flying around. We're going to give you our thoughts and opinion, okay? I promise you that. But before we dive into that, let's talk about, Nick stepping away. What does this mean for Alabama? That's where we got to start first, okay? And so I've been talking, since this broke a couple hours ago with a few people, yourself and I have been discussing this. How does this land for old Nick, the GOAT, the legend? 2 or 3 years ago. Go ahead.
Said old St. Nick's retiring, man.
It's interesting. And so look, here's where there's a couple things here. You've got an opportunity. If you're a coach in the SEC, you got to be chomping at the bits because a pillar has fallen and an opening has allowed for itself for you to chime in, to take what's yours. For the last few years, Kirby and Nick have been playing ping pong with one another. Now have an opportunity to step up to the table and paddle your way, young Padawan, with Kirby Smart. That's what's opening up here right now. Now, like I was saying, I've always stated this on the show, that Michigan, Ohio State, they have a brand that recruits itself. You can plug and chug a coach into that situation. They're going to have success. Whether that success is a championship, 12-0 playoffs, or 11-1, 10-2, it varies from a game or two. Michigan, Ohio State have carried that. BAMA has been in that same category now for the last decade and plus, all due to what Nick Saban has brought to the table. And so Nick Saban fires a coordinator every other week. He's got a new one at every game. You don't know. Nobody cares because Nick Saban's still on the sideline. That's all that matters. You've now cut the head of the snake. And 2 to 3 years ago, before this transfer portal thing existed, you could have plugged in a Dabo Swinney. You could have plugged in a Lane Kiffin. You could have plugged in a Lincoln Riley. You could have plugged in somebody, and they would have been able to maintain what Nick had built. Now, after a few or 5 years, would they have been able to maintain that? That is for certain. Okay? But my point is that it wouldn't come off, you wouldn't see this massive, colossal drop. With the transfer portal, and it's already happening with the NIL, I don't know how they maintain this legacy that they've created this far, unless they have to make a splash hire, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But with the NIL, with guys constantly flipping, it is going to be very interesting how Alabama operates in the coming days. And this is not me preying on the downfall of Alabama. I'm just simply stating the facts on this. The territory that we're diving into is unknown. So anybody that wants to say, nope, it's going to do this or do that, I don't believe anybody truly feels or knows the answer to this because of how much the landscape of college football has changed within just a matter of 2 years. And now we're headed into 12-team playoffs. It's very interesting. What are your thoughts on that? Does answer this, and then we'll talk about the potential hires here. But does Bama fall off? Do they step down a tier or two with this replacement, no matter who comes in, or is there the perfect hire that's able to secure this recruiting class and secure the top 10 talent that's already there?
Yeah, that just depends on, I guess, the prospects that decide whether they want to enter the portal now or waiting to see who's getting hired. Or, I mean, a lot of these kids they build these relationships with these coaches, and once they're gone, I mean, it does it really matter who gets hired next? I mean, when you go and you look at recruiting, especially in high school, I mean, these kids they have these top tens, top fives, and then eventually gets down to like a top two or a top three, and then they go to commit to a school. So was the relationship really good with the guy that came in second best, and you just chose Alabama only because of maybe the lure, maybe Nick Saban, maybe somewhere down the line, something else? I mean, is that gonna be part of what you're gonna are you gonna wait? Are you gonna really take the time out and wait to see who gets hired or who doesn't? Or are you just gonna enter into the portal? Or even some of these kids like Zay Mincy who signed his letter of intent, do you sign out? I mean, do you have a chance to get out of it before you waste that free transfer portal? Or do you go right into the transfer portal again? I mean, that sets a lot of things in perspective, especially with a lot of these kids and for our sake that we're considering Florida and they came down to Florida and Alabama and they went to Alabama. Do those kids have a change of heart? Do they want to come to Florida? Do they want to transfer over? I mean, there's just so many scenarios. I mean, it's really like for the next guy that comes in, like if there's already 20 kids that entered the portal by the time he comes in, that's going to be a hard sell to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to get this program right back to where Nick Saban had it, and this is going to be the ball's just going to keep bouncing, and we're going to keep winning national championships. That's a really hard task to do for the next guy that's coming up. And I mean, you look around the college landscape, the only person that's been able to match what Kirby Smart has done, and not even really match it because he's only got 2 titles, he hasn't won 7 yet. It's Kirby Smart. He's on the trajectory just based on the way that he's recruited. Where around? I mean, like Dabo Swinney, he had a couple, but he's fallen off a little bit. You got Dan Lanning, who's doing a decent job, but I mean, he's still not on the Nick Saban level. I mean, that's going to be the hard part for Alabama is finding that guy that you can bring in that's going to sustain what Nick Saban had because those are some hard shoes to fill. And I like in a way, I would like to be the guy that gets hired because they're probably going to pay you a ton of money, but at the same time if you are the guy, you're gonna be you're already like where Napier's at on a hot seat a little bit. Not getting fired wise, but like the expectations are from like a head coach that gets hired from one. Yours is all the way up to 10 plus.
Think about like USC, right? Pete Carroll has never really truly been replaced at USC. That's a void that's been dying to be filled. Ohio State, I mean, Urban obviously won them their last championship. I mean, that's been a hard one to fill. Harbaugh finally filled that Michigan void. LSU, I know Ed Orgeron won one, but I feel like Les Miles, that's been a hard shoe to fill for them as well. Even though Ed won one, I know, but just that same type of what he carried for so long, it's been a hard one to fill. Look, the guy that comes into this role is gotta have the biggest set of balls you have ever seen. And that, again, I have a lot of thoughts and process on what I think is gonna happen. The other part is these guys, Bama has to move extremely fast because we were alluding to this already. In case you don't know, in case people are wondering, 600 people strong, be sure to smash the like button in here right now. Is the portal now opens up again for not only the team, because their head coach has left, anybody that has also joined recently the recruiting class. So 2024, Mason Short, offensive lineman, just announced he will be visiting Georgia. Ryan Williams, wide receiver, 5-star wide receiver, also has decommitted from Alabama. Already crystal ball to Auburn. Very interesting there. DJ and him were flirting at the All-American game. Could be a possibility there. Auburn has 16 wide receivers. Not quite sure they need another one with no quarterback, but I digress. Okay. Desmond Ricks, who we were heavy on last year, he tweeted out like, "What the hell is going on?" Not meaning he's going to leave, but a lot of people are reacting, and something like this was probably had to have been kept close to the chest. Nobody saw this coming. I just saw in the chat somebody said that Saban's wife is sick. We were seeing that across platforms, and look, that would make sense. Something this abrupt, you would believe that there's a bigger matter at hand versus Saban just like I'm tired of this shit, right? I was watching Josh Pate for a quick moment. Apparently there was some, rumblings happening during the Pasadena Rose Bowl game. And look, I think it's always a conversation. 2 years ago, we were feeling this was going to happen. I've been stating this is going to happen with the NIL because I've always said that Saban has had his hand in the cookie jar, but this cookie jar is evolving. It's changing, right? And he's lost his grasp on the cookie jar. So this was coming. We all knew this was coming. The timing of it is very interesting. And again, because of how the portal is operating, because of this recruiting class, because kids can leave, it's going to be wild on how quickly they make this hire. So let's dive into the map here, Dave, unless you have something else before we dive into this DAP. 600 strong. Smash this like button. Drop the comments. Let's get the algo going. Let's get everybody in here. It's College Football Wednesday, boys. Let's get the show a humming. Let's show some love. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, let's just go look at the map, baby.
Let's go look at the map. $10 from Landon Stone says, been looking forward to this show all night. Go Gators. I've been looking forward to it too, Landon, and thank you for the $10. Much appreciated. Sorry I missed that earlier. Let's take a look at this map. There might be some names and heads that I've left off this map, okay? Let me give you a quick, digest of this situation. We've got Dan Lanning chilling over here in Oregon, okay? Top left. Saban's already in Hawaii. That's why I've got him down there. He's already on vacation. He's gone. Harbaugh's up there in Michigan. We've got Brian Kelly. How does he equate into this equation? Sit back, relax. Lane Kiffin, of course, that's always a name. Don't think it's anything. Dabo. And then, of course, Mike Norvell has been thrown into the mix. Real quick, Dave, sorry to throw you off here. Let me pull up the odds because this will help with what we've been talking about. I think these odds have changed from this picture.
Those odds will change periodically through like minutes and minutes. It's crazy. Like I saw 3 different ones that have changed within the last like 10 minutes. So, I mean,
but it's a good look. But the point is, it's a good idea. It's a good census of what's happening here. So, Dan Lanning leads the way at plus 300. This was the guy that I said as soon as I heard the news. This was the guy that I said. Dabo Swinney plus 400. Lane Kiffin plus 500. But Lane just signed an extension for 5 or 6 years. So that plays out. I mean, it plays a factor, right? They got to pay that thing out. So that would be wild. Kalen DeBoer plus 600, Deion Sanders plus 600. I think that's extremely high for Deion Sanders over Pat Schumer. Urban Meyer, this guy's not coming back. Give it up. Billy Napier, I think this has dropped to plus 1,600 now. Billy Napier at plus 1,400 is wild. And he was trending on, because how much hate he gets.
Well, think about it. Think about it, though. That buyout, they're not going to pay that buyout.
For Billy?
No, hell no.
If Lane Kiffin's up there and Dan Lanning's buyout's got to be insane too. It's got to be more than those two.
I think Dan Lanning was like 20 million.
I mean, that's about right around what Billy's is, isn't it? Because Billy's got some of it paid off already.
Yeah, his is like, I think like in the 50s or 60s.
This is not my list, by the way. This is an actual legitimate odds list from a betting website. So this is not my thing here, just so you guys are aware. Jimbo Fisher, obviously, I see somebody in the chat, Jack Way. And then Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell is an interesting one. And the reason, look, I like, my dark night here is Mike Norvell. Not because I'm trying to hate on Florida State. I want him to leave Florida State. I'd rather him stay at Florida State. I don't want him to go to Alabama. I just don't. He doesn't fit the Alabama vibe. It doesn't fit, in my opinion. But let's go back to the map. So for scenario one, kind of just cut and dry. The talk says Michigan that Harbaugh's flying away. Harbaugh's out. He's going to LA. He's going to the Chargers. He's going to the Chargers. Venables going to the Patriots. Bill's going to Atlanta. That's my call. That's NFL. That's bigger than that.
Yeah.
The talks for Brian Kelly to go into Michigan is through the roof. Now, some people thought he's from Michigan. He's from Massachusetts. He's not from Michigan. The reason why I think Brian Kelly fits at Michigan is it fits his vibe. Notre Dame, he always fit there. It makes sense. I think he did okay in the LSU, but again, a lot of talk for him going to Michigan. I think he would fit well. I think Michigan would just pick up right where they left off. No big deal. Like I said, that's kind of how Michigan flows. So now here we are. We have Alabama and LSU open, coaching jobs open. The two, one of the top pinnacle schools in the SEC, wide open for business. Where do we go? Okay, well, Dan Lanning's my number one pick. Dan's going to Bama, and the reason
And
why I like
that opens up Oregon then.
you're getting ahead of the domino here. The reason why I like Dan and Bama so much is, and why I like Norvell. There's between two here, but we're on the look, guys. This is a roller coaster. Sit back and relax. It's going to be a good show. Dan fits perfectly for this, and the reason why I think Dan fits is every reason why they thought he was going to go to A&M. I never thought Dan would go to A&M. I thought it was stupid. There's no need for him to go to A&M. The reason why people thought A&M, money, and then of course the ego of playing against the big dogs. What is the SEC? Although he was headed to the Big Ten, everybody wants a piece of that SEC pie. It's just that just tastes a little bit sweeter. The A&M job never made sense to me. I've never been intrigued by that job. Doesn't make any sense. The Bama job makes a ton of sense because you get the money that you need. It's got the status, and you're hungry. You've already shown that you recruit like an absolute dog, which you're going to need this in this new landscape of college football. And you have been a dog in the transfer portal when it's needed as well too. Everything is what is needed right now in the college football, and you've got money in Oregon. The only thing you've got fighting against you in Oregon is the fact that it's Oregon and its location. Yeah. This guy is the perfect fit for Alabama, and for the fact that we've seen silence, and the fact that I think the A&M job kind of was quickly shut down, leads me to believe that Lanning is your guy. This is the guy that you hand things off to. Hell of a handoff, but I like him a lot. People saying Kirby leaving, you and I were talking about this before the show. There is Kirby leaving, the analogy that I said, Kirby leaving Georgia to go to Alabama would be like you moving out of your house to go across the street to the exact same house with zero furniture. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It makes zero. If you're Georgia, if you're Kirby, you're like, I'm about to eat. I'm about to eat.
But at the same time, if they move you out of your house and they move you into like a $9 million mansion right across the street, you're probably going to want to do that.
Yeah, they'll just build onto another one. So, look, where this Oregon job comes into play, I have no clue at that point. I don't know what Oregon does. They may go rip somebody. Anything at this point kind of goes wild. But I'm more worried about how the SEC unfolds. So let's say Dan. Let's back up a bit. Let's say Dan stays in Oregon, right? I don't see Lane leaving. Lane leaving at a time where he's just gone all in.
Yeah. And it's scheduled too.
It's wild to me.
Yeah.
Wild to me. I don't see it happening.
I know. Well,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you put Dan Lanning over there. I just went to Cole Kubik's Twitter and he's updated like the odds. He's got Dan Lanning at 3-1 up at the top. Dabo Swinney at 4-1 is the next one. So what would you say about Dabo Swinney?
So Dabo, that was the next guy I was going to do. Dabo goes obviously here. Clemson opens up. Clemson's a weird. I think the Oregon job, like if Dan were to leave Oregon, is way more elusive and a bigger holy shit feel than the Clemson job. Pete Carroll could be a good fit for Oregon. Look, I'm shooting skeeters out here because I don't know what's happening. Pete Carroll just got departed from the Seattle Seahawks today, and I love me some Pete Carroll. Nobody chews on gum like that guy does. Okay, that guy. The guy is a professional when it comes to smacking on that gum, and it riles me up. All right, but that's besides the point. So that kind of fits that. The Clemson job, I really don't care about that. Like Clemson could go back to just being what it was before Dabo, and nobody would care. Nobody would bat an eye. The ACC is a joke, anyways. We all know this. He goes to Bama. The reason I don't like this is he's proven to not adapt to the new college football landscape. That's right. I just don't see. Like, 3 years ago, it's a lock. It's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. Look, could he recruit to Alabama? Yes, and continue down that. Yeah, and that's the one thing is that if he were to go to Alabama, we know the guy can recruit. He has no problem doing that, and he'll recruit just fine in Alabama. And I think a lot of kids would be okay playing with him. He has a pretty good coaching tree as well, so a lot of could happen. I don't like it though. If I'm on the one thing is that he has that Lanning does not have is a proven champion. Lanning is
and a black eye.
And a black eye. Look, I don't know. Like for me, does Dabo have another 10 to 15 year run? Lanning is on that trajectory where he could be the next Nick, where he can dominate at the school for a couple of years. You know what I mean? And create that. I don't know if Dabo has that.
Yeah, that that's literally the only two coaches that have proven like anything of national championship worth would be Smart and Dabo. And you, like you said, Smart, he's not going to leave the situation he's in, his alma mater, where he's dominating and getting number one classes. That's going to be a hard pull, and you're not going to be able to pull him away from there anyway because it's his alma mater. So I think that's out the window unless you offer him something he just can't refuse. I doubt that you would be able to do that. I mean, you've got Dabo Swinney, you had Dan Lanning. The next person on this list that you're gonna like, Sheldon, because I know this is your guy, Deion Sanders, 6-1. What do you think about that?
That one, that one's crazy to me. I just, it was obviously hot for A&M. Look, all the things that I just said, right?
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't. I mean, recruiting, he hasn't recruited like people thought he would, but portal wise, he has, excelled in that. Hasn't recruited, but you put him in Alabama, you give him money. Who knows what he'll be able to do on the recruiting side? I don't know if
about like Deion with is like his coaching acumen because I haven't seen enough from him, and not really at Jackson State. I think he was good at Jackson State. I don't think he was great. And then at Colorado, obviously he's 1 year in. He's got to get the talent in there, so I can't really blame year one on him. He did improve the team. But that's the only question I have about him. But other than that, like getting kids interested and getting recruits eyes turning and getting them into the school. I mean, he's not gonna have an issue with that. He loves media. He loves being on camera. He loves being on social media and being out there, and that's how he lands a lot of his recruits anyway. So from a, I guess, media and getting kids to the school and getting them in, it's going to be easy for him there anyway. But like it is Alabama, it's going to recruit itself just based on the championships that it's won over the years. But you don't have Nick Saban there, so you got to have that kind of person that's going to give you, I guess, a little bit more of an aura, if you will. But Sanders is a different aura than Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a no BS. Hey, look, we're winning championships. Deion's a little bit more showy, likes to talk about it and hasn't really done it yet. So is he really the right fit?
Look, with the culture at Alabama, there's already a set standard. What guy comes in and can continue what's already there? And I think that's a big question too. And look, I think Deion has a culture, but is it a Nick Saban-esque culture? I don't think so. It's its own culture. And so you're kind of you're taking a bigger reset, with my opinion. Real quick before we keep moving, we got a $5 super chat from Daniel Kirsta. Says my money's on Belichick. I don't, look, I mean,
Belichick is 80-1 on this odds list.
I don't like Belichick in the sense of, again, having the portal and the recruiting nonsense. I just don't see these guys that are in the NFL that are having success. I don't see it. I could be wrong. I'm down to be wrong, but I don't see it. Coach D to Bama, it's a lock. Who's Coach D? DeBar? Kalen? Washington's head coach. That's obviously a name. That's a top. That's 6-1 too, isn't it?
What is Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6-1. And then Pat Shermer is 9-1, Urban Meyer 10-1, Billy Napier 14-1, Derek Dooley 14-1, Mike Norvell 16-1, Ryan Day 20-1. And then there's like hundreds of other guys on here.
Where's Norvell?
Mike Norvell is, I'm trying to find him. It's a huge list. I don't even think he's on this one.
Real quick, Muddy says, remember 2 years ago, Lincoln Riley was God, and on top of the choices, not even a mention of or a whisper for the job. Look, the beginning of the year, I was all praise for Lincoln Riley. The way that he managed this ship this last year definitely burned his credibility a lot. And it is interesting that his name isn't on there because 2 years ago, again, he would be, even 2 years ago, what he was doing with this landscape would be a done deal, in my opinion. If what he was doing at Oklahoma, oh my boy, that'd be a lock. Let's talk this scenario. Let's put Dabo back at Clemson, Norvell to Alabama, the team that just kicked you out of the playoffs.
Norvell's 16-1.
This is intriguing to me because he fits everything that we just said, right? He's a combination of the two guys. He's got everything Lanning has in the sense of he recruited well last year. So he's done well recruiting last year. He's been extreme. I mean, I gave him the title of the Portal King. The guy's crushing the portal. You hate him or you love him. I hate it, but he's done a phenomenal job. That's just facts. Like put your bias aside. He's done a great job in the portal. Dominant there. Who knows what this guy could do if you throw him a bag or two with the Bama logo coming in, right? Coach some great games. Look, the Louisville game, hate it or love it, but they damn near kept that shit together with a third string quarterback. So, look, I credit when credit is due. So he has that Lanning aspect. He's also went 13-0. He's got the championship more than what Dan Lanning has, because Lanning hasn't won a Pac-12,
Yeah.
but doesn't have the championship status that Dabo has. To me, he fits it, and I think that their contract, his closest coming up, I think, unless he just signed an extension, because he's like his 5th year in at FSU, so that thing's got to be closer to the end than most of these guys. So it could be a cheaper hire as well.
Yeah, I don't think he has signed an extension at all, or at least I haven't seen it. I haven't seen like going around or anything like that. But like, yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, Norvell may, and I'll give credit where credit is due. I mean, Willie Taggart put that thing in a tailspin, and if he was still there was no way that he was going to be doing the job that Mike Norvell was doing, coming from where he came from. He's recruited well. I don't think high school wise he's recruited. I mean, this is his best recruiting class he's had in high school since he's been there. So I will give him credit on that. He lost.
Yeah, he's not as good as Dan. He hasn't done as well as Dan. I agree.
I mean, but like you look at, I think he's got the 5th ranked portal class right now. So it's like, even though that you lost a couple of guys, and I've always said this now with the way the transfer portal is, even if you lose 4 or 5 guys from your recruiting class and it's number 15, if you get elite portal gets like Ole Miss did, or even Mike Norvell who's done it. I mean, does it really matter that you lost 2, 3, 4 guys? As long as they have like 2, 3 years of eligibility, maybe even a year, you can make up for it in the next recruiting cycle. But at the same time, you're getting a lot more, I guess, older depth. But but they don't. You don't want to try to like make the portal your main recruiting source. You want high school because you get more years out of them. But at the same time, like if you can supplement some older guys to come in there, if you miss on a couple of guys, it's not that bad. And I think he's done the best job out of anybody, to be honest.
Dan Quinn is another one I'm seeing here. Mike Vrabel is another one here. Those guys are young NFL coaches that would do a good job, I think, in this atmosphere.
Dan Quinn's 66-1.
I love Dan Quinn. I think he did a good job at Atlanta. Didn't have enough time there, in my opinion. Somebody said something about Brian Hartline. I'm trying to see if this is true. I don't see anything from Brian Hartline. Okay, the chat's going crazy. We got 900 strong here. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Daniel Cruz says $5 is okay, fine. Let's keep the trend going. Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
I love me some Mike.
Mike McDaniel. I don't even see him on here.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't see a college full send on Bill Belichick.
Well, the thing that's funny too is like, so I can't remember which reporter they said that Nick Saban, like even the staff didn't know like this was coming because of whatever. And the rumors out there of like Saban's wife is sick, whatever. I've heard from some credible people like that work outside of this. Some mods that are kind of alluding to that. It's not like 100% in certain, but they have alluded to that situation as well. So that could be the reason why Saban is retiring, because you got to think about it, man. This guy has been in Alabama for what, like over 15 years. And, if you're away from home and you're coaching the team, I mean, you get to come in the off season and then go back to Alabama, whatever. Like you've been doing this for so long. And then something like that happens. Like, yeah, you're like, crap, I've been here for so long. And now this is like, that's a hard situation for him to be in. So if that happens to be the true rumor, I actually do feel bad for Saban because he's having to leave something that he loves because of the situation.
The name that's not being tossed around, and I didn't put a head on here, is Sarkisian out of Texas. Part of that.
Steve's in 35-1.
It's another good one there. Look, again, you got a good thing going in Texas. No need to leave. But, that Bama job, again, I don't. This is the question, right? Like, what? That shoe to fill.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a shoe to fill. How do you fill that thing up? And it's you don't want to be that's to pass that thing on. That's like trying to follow up, the GOAT in comedy when they go up on stage. Like that's tough.
It's like Joe Rogan retiring and you have to take over his podcast.
Yeah, you're just not doing it. And again, this is what I was talking about earlier with like Apple, right? When Steve Jobs was gone, like it was sad, but it's easy to kind of just step right in that the brand has done a good job of becoming its own identity. Microsoft, same thing. Even Tesla at this point. I mean, I don't think Elon even runs the damn thing anymore, right? Like they've created these brands, and that's how I feel about Washington and Michigan. Now, I think the NIL has changed that, and I think you always felt like Bama. You know, we have our Sunday show. We created the segment "All Reliable" off of Bama because they were always all reliable. You're down 7. Nick Saban's going to figure it out. Everybody said it against that Michigan game when they were down going into half. Called everybody. Called the crew and go, hey, I'm not worried about this. You let Saban. Michigan dominated that first half, but I was like, you let Saban stick around way too long. They come out, punch Michigan in the mouth, take the lead. They go, they're Saban, but Saban they let it go. Michigan was built to get it done, but that's the Saban that's the Bama we've seen. But that was because of Saban. Like I said, the coordinators have been a rotating wheel. You don't their defensive coordinator retired like literally 3 days ago. Did anybody even know? Did anybody even care? Fuck no. Because he said 3 days ago, I don't call the plays anyways. He's just there to put the headset on so Saban has somebody to talk to on the sideline. Okay? Those guys aren't doing anything. They haven't done anything for a very long time. So I think it's bigger than what people want to realize. Even if they go out and get a Dan Lanning, people committed to Nick, not to the coaches, not to the coordinators, not to the brand. They committed to Nick, and I don't care what head you bring in, what floating head on this board you bring in. There's gonna be some dominoes. There's gonna be some flips, and Bama's gonna take a step back for at least a year until whoever comes in can get their feet established. And look, they'll bring in their own style, they'll bring in their own thing, but they're not gonna. Bama has been recruited and built to run like Saban. And there's only a few coaches. I mean, like a Dan Lanning doesn't operate like that, right? A Mike Norvell, good.
I was going to say, in the landscape of college football, like when you're taking over a program like that and you're in that situation, back in the day, it was easy to do that because those kids weren't going to go anywhere. None of them were going to transfer. You're going to have all that talent when you came in. Now, like you're going to come in, and I guarantee you, there's going to be once kids either they're going to wait to find out, like I said, or there's going to be kids already on the way out the door. I mean, we've already seen Hayes Fawcett tweet out a gif of dominoes falling already. And I'm pretty sure one kid's already decommitted, Ryan Williams, the wide receiver, 5-star. He decommitted right as the news was announced. I mean, that was fast. That was like the fastest I've ever seen a kid decommit when the news had hit. So, I mean, it's not going to be an easy job for anybody that steps in those shoes. And they're going to have to prove it. Like, that talent is going to leave. There's going to be kids that will leave out of that portal. Like I said, Zay Mincy. Prime example. Probably will leave. I'm not going to say he will, but that's what I'm thinking. That's just one guy. You got to think about all the other ones. Julian Sand just tweeted out question marks. So, yeah.
That was a fake Julian Sand.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, it is a
fake
Julian
Julian Sand. It's getting me too, bro. It's getting all the shit. Yeah, someone just created an account called Evan Stewart and posted committed to Florida. These bastards have got me going left and right over here. I'm trying to keep up with it in case something happens.
Well, everybody will look out for the fake accounts because sometimes they get me too. So.
Yeah, they're brutal right now, boys. They're getting everybody. We can confirm that Xavier Mincy did delete Bama out of his profile. He has not decommitted. But think about Minsley, Jameer Grimsley, who his biggest reason for going to Bama. You tweeted it today.
Yeah,
Nick Saban.
And,
so
isn't it funny? The kids will lie to the coaches, and the coaches will lie to the kids. Actually, I guess this all came up though. I don't really think Saban really meant to lie to those kids. I think this, if the situation with the wife and then that story is true, maybe it just all abruptly just happened, and he just kind of was just like, "Look, I can't do this anymore. My, wife's sick, whatever." But at the same time, if it's just something that he just wants to retire, then yeah, I mean, come on.
Hey, I know we're not a tweets of the week yet, boys, but I'm going through the tweets, make sure I don't miss anything, and I came across this. The greatest. This is tweet of the week by far. It's the number one tweet. No, I'm gonna show it right now. I gotta show it right now as I'm cheesing out. It goes, look. He goes, Jalen Murrow, don't worry, coach. I'm coming back. Saban.
I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be here.
Well, it was a fun ride.
I love it. I had to show it. Real quick though, let's talk about Urban Meyer, because this name gets thrown around worse than Steven's mom. It's ridiculous. I get it. What Urban did, and I got nothing but love for Urban. I think people forget his stint in Jacksonville. And the reason I bring that up is that college football is a now minor league to NFL. It is a miniature NFL. You can't go in and do the things that he did, how he was able to flip a program around. He's not wired. He's wired differently, and there's a reason why his method worked. The guy was kicking kickers and and treating these NFL players like he thought he could because he was Urban Meyer and because he did it a couple years ago at Ohio State and Florida.
Yeah.
He doesn't just show up and he does that again. Will the flash hit and will it make a big splash? Yes. I don't believe he'll have the same effectiveness. Eh,
No.
I think that's why he hasn't came back. I think he realizes that I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I have to be me, and to be me, it's not going to work in this landscape. That's my
Yeah.
thought.
I mean, like, look at all the things that he's done that I guess, quote unquote, we've caught. And then you've heard stories of what he's done in the past. It's like you catch him dancing on some girl in the club. And yeah.
But he's living his best life. But he's living his best
Yeah.
life.
Hey,
You know?
hey, you know what? Hey, retire and then do that stuff, and then nobody can say anything.
Nobody cares. So look, I think we'll kind of wrap this up. And we've been going for 30 minutes, and I think it's been worth every minute because this is groundbreaking in college football. I mean, this is what's funny is because I had a conversation with my dad the other day. I was like, when you think about recruiting, and I'm like thinking about like my kid getting older, and it's like if Saban were to walk through my door, and be like, hey, I wanna talk with your son. I'm like, yo, Nick fucking Saban's in the crib, baby. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fired. Hey, son, sit your ass down. And I'm thinking, like, if Billy knocked on my door, I'm like, yo, what's up, coach? You know what I mean? Like, that's just like the presence that Nick carries. And I called my dad. I was like, I guess Nick ain't gonna come visit the kids. I guess where that dream's gonna go. So it's just crazy how much of an impact this guy had. And I was even telling the wife, I was like, babe, this is she's like, we got dinner. I was like, no, I don't have anything right now. You guys don't exist to me. Okay. This is everything. This is my life has been Nick Saban in college football. Like, this is what I've known my entire life. Like, this is going to be, it's going to be different. It's going to be crazy come next year. And it's going to be weird. It's going to be strange. It sucks getting old over the last 5 years with the losses of Peyton Manning, not losses, but guys leaving the sport. The last domino to fall for me is going to be LeBron. That's going to be, I mean, as much as you hate him or love him, like, it's still the guy's been a staple of the sport. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. It's sad to think about. $2 from Stone Cold Drip Salston. Everything is about to shake up, and man, that's the exciting part too. It really is about to be butt freaking nasty. So,
You got to think how many phone calls are being received by all sorts of kids from different schools right now. I mean, they're tampering the hell out of them. They're like, hey, your head coach just left. Would you like to come over here?
I'm sure their phones are probably dead. Muddy says last time we were all hyped like this was when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame, Riley left Oklahoma, and Cristobal left Oregon. I agree. I think this is beyond that. Like, you can't even. This will never be duplicated. What's happening right now? What was crazy to me is like I turned the TV on. I was, how like when like major news breaks. Like all channels, like when 2 days ago we had this like massive storm, like they have their regularly scheduled appointments. No, it's crossed off because the weather channel's on. Somebody like important dies, they've got the president on TV. It's talking, like it cuts everything off. I turned the TV on fully expecting that all sports channel shows that were on would be completely canceled and somebody's throwing up a major press conference, but they didn't. I was extremely disappointed. Like what are we running here? You know what I mean? Like this is earth-shattering news here that needs to be addressed, and we need to talk about it.
Yeah, anybody that's like a sports fan automatically has the ESPN app on their phone. They probably have the regular alerts set up when they download it. And like, I was at the gym, and I didn't get I already saw it on Twitter, but like I thought it was like a fake tweet, and I was just like, oh, here's another fake tweet. And then I'm like, I hit the home button. It's everywhere. I see On3 reporting it. I was like, oh my God. I just like stopped in my seat for a second. I was like, wait, he just retired.
I was driving.
Then, like, the ESPN alert came right. Like, it was instant. Usually the ESPN alert like takes a while before, like if somebody commits to Florida that's really highly ranked, it'll take a while to come onto my phone and let me know after I've already known. But like, this was like instant. Everybody in the gym was like talking about it. Like, it was crazy as hell. Like, there was people like, oh my God, Nick Saban retired. And it was on our screens, like, cause they have like the sports playing in the gym. So it was like all over the screens, and people were just like, they stopped their workouts just to like watch it.
I might get canceled for this, but this is kind of how my brain works, and I'm just going to say it. I apologize if I upset anybody, but it's like I almost regret. I almost feel like I shouldn't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
The reason I'm saying it is because it's like we're gonna remember where we were on this day, and like thinking of like 9/11, like you remember where you were on that day. Like I'm not trying to say these are the same thing, but like the impact.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
You
I
know how
mean,
some people take it, like you're comparing Nixon retired to the national tragedy. No, no, no. I'm just saying like how like you will remember this moment. That's all I'm saying. $5. You know what's crazy? I was driving home and I get a text from my buddy Todd. He's an older gentleman, and you don't get text from Todd unless it's a funny video. 'Cause he's a Georgia fan about Kirby, or it's important. And he double texted me, and then sorely texted me, and I was like, something fucking broke. I go,
Yeah.
what? I could see it on my car. I go, what happened? I go, something. I go, babe, hold on. Something's going on right now. And I go, I'm going. She's like, even her. She was like, what? I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm checking Twitter. I'm double checking. I don't trust these twats. They're fucking with me, right? Craziness. Landon Stone says, how about the energy from Coach Harris? Bro, he tweeting eyeballs out. Coach AB tweeting eyeballs out. I was like, y'all better not have me start telling some lies, because I swear to goodness, y'all. Hey, if you better, we were talking. You gonna flex that energy? You better bring that energy. You better land him. Yeah, you better land him, mofo.
I'm telling you right now, you better land some of those guys. If you're gonna talk like that, I better see some Keon Keeleys or some Grimsleys or something in this transfer portal class, because like, look, I mean, our portal class isn't bad. It's not the best that I would like to see it, but like I don't care how many scholarships that you have left for 30. You better oversign if those kids are in the portal, because you need talent bad right now.
We won't get anybody. Billy's like, I'm riding with my guys. We're good here. All right, boys. We do have some other things to talk about. Again, I really appreciate you. Got almost 800 people in here strong. I'm putting on the Gator Ole Miss game. I thought it was on later on the night, but apparently it's on. I thought it was on at 9:30 for some reason. I guess it started at 9. We're down 2 right now. Just started. So, anyways, happy to have all of you here. If you guys are brand spanking new, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. I'd imagine we got some new listeners this evening due to the news that has dropped. There isn't many people talking about it, which is disgusting. It's the GOAT. And we're on the way to 20,000 subs. So if you guys are enjoying this, hop aboard, join. Let's get to talking and let's get to rolling. So first order of business. Look, I think we had obviously the new hire of Ron Robertson, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we had Mark Robinson too. Roberts. See? Mark Robinson is what threw me off here. And we talked about it on Monday or Tuesday when the news broke. But obviously we did some digging. You did some digging. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about it. And this is where I put my work in last night. I was down to my nitty gritty, hustling away here to do some comparison, because obviously there's always questions like, what are we getting? Is this a good hire? Is this a good move? We know his background. We know he worked with Billy. We know he mentored Austin Armstrong. But I was like, look, let's break it down. Let's compare it. Let's see what we're getting. And then I also have some insight on these hires as well that I think that are very interesting to look at. So for those of you that are listening, you can't see, we've got the Auburn versus Gators defense comparison. So I've got Auburn's defense from 2022 to 2023, and then I have Florida's team from 2023. So scoring defense in 2022, Auburn was at 29.5. Then in 2023, when his name's Ron, right? Ron took over, went down to 22.6. Florida's scoring defense was not 22.6. I must have just copy and pasted. I think it was like 25. 25, I think.
I can go on.
Yeah,
I can go on
up.
real quick.
Let us know. It's. I know Auburn's is lower. Total defense. In 2022, Auburn was 395.3. In 2023, they improved to 35.7. Florida this past year was 382.2. Rush defense, 172.7 in 2022 for Auburn, down to 155 in 2023, and Florida was 155.6. So damn near even on that one, but Auburn still pulled away. Passing defense, 222.6 in 2022, brought it down to 202.2 in 2023. Florida was at 226 last year. Here's an interesting one. This is where I started doing some math. This is where I started getting nitty gritty, boys. Where I was up late last night, deep into the evening. Okay, had a little bottle of bourbon, chilling, hanging with the boys. Not really by myself, next to my wife while she snored her life away. Anywho, red zone defense in 2023 for Auburn Tigers was 79%, meaning teams had a 79% success rate of scoring while winning the red zone, it was actually fairly good. I think it was top 15. So it sounds like pretty high, but they were top 15 in the entire country. Florida's red zone defense ranked 102nd at 87%. Now, percents that obviously punches you in the mouth. I was like, let's go a step further. What does that mean? How much of a game changer is this? If they were to go drop down to 79% Florida, if we were to improve that, that would have been 7 more stops, or excuse me, 5 less scores on the year. So think about how many games we lost by 1 possession and just apply 1 touchdown to every game. Mizzou, Arkansas, right? And we've got 3 more touchdowns we could have taken away maybe from FSU, right? We win the game. So just think about how much that's a big number, but like when you really think about it, 5 scores,
Yeah.
that's red zone defense. And that's like because LSU, we gave up 17 scores, but a lot of them were just because Jaden Daniels ran from the 35. So that wasn't even a red zone touchdown. Like that's crazy when you think about how much of an impact that would have made. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's funny that you have that graphic for 2022, Auburn 29.5 points per game, because you said you screwed up on that graphic. Florida was 29.5 points per game last year on team rankings. And team rankings does not count the FCS opponents, just FBS. FCS opponents, the only reason they don't count them is because most teams blow them out and they don't really matter. So against FBS opponents, it was 29.5. So I mean, if you can, even if you can replicate that just for us, from what Auburn's done from what Auburn was in 2022 till now, I mean, that's a huge step forward. Like 7 points, a 7-point difference in average of giving it up. And I even said this, I even said it this year when Auburn was playing a bunch of these games. I said, Auburn's defense is keeping them in the game. Like
For
their
sure.
offense can't score. It reminded me of back when we had Will Muschamp, but we couldn't score a point.
Yeah.
Like their defense was keeping them in games against Alabama, against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, got blown out by New Mexico State though too, and then they got beat by Maryland also. But I mean,
that's that's a culture thing. That's a lot. There's a lot going on at that point of the season. Who knows? Like it's kind of like our Vandy game 2 years ago. You're kind of sleeping on that, right? The last little bit here is third down defense. 31% for Auburn, 35% for us. What does that equate to? 7 more stops on the year. And again, those 7 more stops, spread them out however you like. Who knows if those stops turn into, that we stop that don't turn into a score, that turn into a score, or turn into a touchdown. Like you don't know what that, alludes to. So that's the point. So Muddy says all these numbers and stats don't mean squat to me. I mean, I put a lot of effort in this, Muddy. Could be a little less abrasive there. I just want to see turnovers. What did we have? 5 interceptions, if that all? That's a good point. Look that up. Apologize first of all, because I worked really hard on this fucking graphic, dickhead. What I do want to say, because something else to think about is like, well, you can argue, well, maybe our talent wasn't there, right? Maybe Auburn was more talented than we are. Well, no, because look, I got another graphic here that I worked hard on. Okay, we had 1 5-stars, they had 0. We had 42 4-stars, they had 35. We had 35 3-stars, they had 44. Our average player rating, I've got it flip-flopped. Our average, that's not right, I messed up that. Our average player rating was like 89. I think theirs is 87, not 97. It's 87. And then the total score.
Ours was 89, because I remember that.
Yeah, and then our total was 844 to 770. So, again, the quality of player. Now, you can argue development. You can argue a whole bunch of other things. I'm not getting into that. I'm simply proving the numbers. Right, that's because when we look at coaches, we don't have much. So this is the reason I bring this up, because again, I'm a big feeler guy. I always use emotions and what I feel and like how I think it's going to be and this and that. And sometimes I question like, well, maybe let's take a little bit deeper dive into it. So I know there are people who appreciate this, even though Muddy's a piece of shit and does not. I know a lot of you will, and if you do, smash the like button. I might ban Muddy for a couple of days because it was really concerning. What is the turnover ratio do you have for both teams, sir? Do you have that?
I have the takeaways per game. So Florida averaged 0.6 takeaways per game, which was 128th in the nation. Auburn, but on the way, they did 1.3, 74th in the nation. So that's still a pretty good improvement considering the, I guess, whatever you want to look at. But I mean, it's still a significant improvement to go up at least 0.7 points on an average of turnover. If you want me to do turnover margin, I can get it real quick.
Explosive plays, I know that they ranked higher as well. I think I have that saved where we ranked versus where they ranked.
So this is turnover margin per game. So it would be negative 0.4 and it would be 96th. Auburn was at 74th at negative 0.1.
For 40-plus yard plays, which I would imagine are explosive plays, Florida had 14. Auburn had 4.
Yeah. I mean, well, I went into their offense not being that great, and it has nothing to do with the defensive coordinator though, either. So,
Local
I
guy says
mean,
he loves it, and that's all I needed to hear. So good. Look, very interesting stuff. I think we have a better idea of what we're getting with Ron, and we also had let's go into before we head into some other things. Let's talk. Let's kind of connects these. This connects a few things for us. Is kind of speaking to the hire of Ron Roberts. Is the hire of another strength and conditioning coach or in that room?
yeah,
Do you, do you have the name?
yeah, it's Jake Sankel or Sankel or however
No,
you
no,
say
no.
it.
There was another. There was a third. So it's Jank Sakel, and there was one more. Jonathan no, who was it? There was one more. I got it right here. I got it from Zach Alberverde.
Uh,
That you have
Verby.
also hired Tevin Geddes from New York along with Jank Sankel.
Yeah, like
And
one of them's supposed to be involved in like nutrition and the both. It's supposed to be like both. He's supposed to be involved. I didn't really care for that, so I was just like, whatever.
so look, I mean, this is a smaller thing, but the reason I bring this up is because okay, so we've hired Craig Fitzgerald, right, which was the guy. He is the strength and conditioning coach, took over Mark Hawk. We hired Jake Sankel as the nutritionist, which we kind of alluded to that. Our conversations with the players, there are a lot of question marks on the food part. Tevin Geddes from the New York Giants. That seems to be a fertile ground for us. Rob Sale also came from the Giants. So now you're putting a lot of energy and effort into that. Love that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, a hire like Rob Roberts, somebody who's making $1.4 million. I don't know what we're paying him. $1.4 million as the defensive coordinator.
Mhm.
Didn't really seem like he was on the hot seat at Auburn. We just went over the stats there. Made leaps and bounds improvement. Also part of the recruiting of Amaris Williams there. So I don't know what Billy sold this man, but I think it's a pretty big pull. Obviously, his director title.
He, he's worked with him over at Louisiana Lafayette at
No,
2008
yeah,
to
yeah, I know,
2000.
but still, I mean, a pretty big pull. I think the hire that, and again, a lot of people you may not like this. This is my thought and opinion here. The hire of Mike Robertson for the AD from A&M to take over this role that nobody knows what's happening yet, and more are to come for this front office role to
Yeah.
mimic the NFL is something, in my opinion, that tells me that Billy's lifeline is longer than I think we may want to believe. And here's my thought process on this. Okay, think about when you're at work. We're all at work. There's gossip. There's drama. There's news. Okay, you got the upper echelon where you've got your executives and they have conversations and they do their things and they have their feelings and thoughts of where things are headed. You're always going to have some disgruntled, probably exec that complains to one of his closer upper management. That upper management then passes that along, and then that turns to gossip and and kind of mush around the office because it's a telephone game. That mush becomes, somewhat reality and the truth, and it may not be the actual truth, but bad news travels faster than good news. And the reason
Yeah.
I mentioned that is that, look, we all want a pulse, we all want a thought and a feeling, and it's, look, maybe there's just because moves like this don't tell me that there's no belief or trust in Billy. That's my full blown opinion, and I could be completely wrong here. I just feel like you're spending a lot of money and a lot of turnover for a one hit wonder. Because
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point because like earlier this week, I was saying, well, is it too little, too late? And I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, why are we making all these hires if like he's supposedly on the hot seat next year? Like, what makes any kind of sense to make all of these hires, sign these big contracts if he's supposed to be gone by next year if he doesn't have a great year? So you do bring up a good point, and then when you go look at his buyout, that's a huge steep buyout. Like nobody wants to pay that to get rid of a coach. Will they? Yes, they will. I mean, if you really want to fire a coach, they'll raise the money to fire the coach. But when you look at just everything that's transpired, especially like now you're kind of trying to hire somebody in a general manager role, which I'm assuming every school will probably do down the line just because of transfer portal and the way that college football has evolved. When you look at it, I mean, are you going to set up this whole staff and hire all these new people, strength and conditioning, all that, and then just turn around and just get rid of them next year?
I don't see it. Now, I mean, if he has a complete blunder of a year, maybe, and again, this isn't me being a sunshine pumper. I'm just simply giving you the perception of what I see happening. It's a lot of moves because I'm trying to remember when Dan on his way out, like nothing really happened. I think he fired Todd Grantham, and that was pretty much it. Like there wasn't really a lot of.
Well, he was forced to fire Todd Grantham and Coach Hevesy.
Yeah, so there was never really like any like an approach to try to turn things around. And I think that was more of the White House. Like this guy doesn't even care to flip the thing around. And again, all trying to just think about it and see what happens. Strickland just approving blank checks to save his job. He put all the chips into this year. And look, I mean, that could be it too. And I like that. I mean, at least you're sending in, you're trusting in the guy that you hired, and it's better than not. Better than not doing it.
Speaking of Scott Strickland, if you haven't heard the 1010XL interview, it's pretty interesting, by the way.
Yeah, so I listened to it. It was a Billy Napier press conference 2.0. He's getting softball questions because fans are calling in. They don't know how to word a question properly. He's able to weasel his way out of it, as he should. If you can't ask a proper question to put him in a corner, you're not going to get an answer. One guy was asking, like, I'm hearing rumors and, the UAA and these things. And Scott Strickland was like, give me an example. And that was where I really kind of dawned on me. I'm like, this is just stuff being passed down. And here's what we're hearing. It's like, can you give me an example? No, it's just people talking shit. And it's like,
I could give him some examples, but
I
just report the news. So
we'll see. Look, let's talk about this really quickly here. Again, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. Good to see all of you here. We're an hour strong in. We're humming and cruising along. So quarterback depth is something. I mean, I kind of had this prepared, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. We got the young man Adrian Warren from Yale. I don't know what it is. I mean, look, we may not win a football game next year, but by golly, we are going to be the smartest football team with Joey Slackman from Penn and now this kid from Yale. I mean, we're basically an Ivy League football school. Okay, so just thoughts. But he committed, which then makes this quarterback room, which is very thin, with the loss of Max Brown. Michael Leon is going to the NFL draft. Who else? Jack Miller is on his way out. He's retiring, I guess. He's Nick Saban it. He's seeing Aiden Warner, I believe is his name. So this is the.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the room as it stands. I know there was a quarterback visiting from Colorado. That seems to have fallen through due to some kind of transcript, so he's no longer going to be committing. So we're stuck at 3, and Aiden Warner is a walk-on. And I think a lot of schools outside of Ole Miss who has 15 quarterbacks on staff are going to be in this kind of realm where it's 1 and 2 good guys, and then you're kind of just hopefully we can find something to stick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm crazy, like super excited for Aiden Warner or anything like that. It is a quarterback, and you did lose some depth, so you need some good quality depth in there. I think it's a decent depth piece. I'm not going to say that it's like the best depth piece you could add, but you did say, I mean, like it's one of those guys that like is going to have to prove himself when he gets to the University of Florida. He's not just going to walk in there, get a scholarship, all that other kind of stuff. But like, it's somebody that you needed in the quarterback rotation. I mean, literally, you only have Graham Mertz, DJ Lagway. If Graham Mertz gets hurt, you have a true freshman coming out there. Obviously, Max Preps Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year, Bobby Dodd Trophy, high school Heisman. Of course, he's got a lot of accolades and a lot of upside, but very, very zero experience in college. Plus, obviously, he played with those receivers over there at Willis, Texas. He's got to get familiar with the receivers here. He's got to get familiar with the offensive line that's here. And he's got to get familiar with everybody else on the team. So I would have liked to have seen maybe we could down the road add another experienced quarterback. I'm not sure. But like I said, you needed quarterback depth. So, I mean, I wasn't too terribly like upset because we needed it. But I would say maybe further on down the road, especially maybe even they might even wait till spring to see what happens there and maybe add another quarterback to who knows.
For sure. A couple things real quick. Muddy says, if all donated $1 to High Top every day for 3 weeks, we can afford to get rid of Strickland or High Top could retire. So whichever you guys choose, I support it. Daniel Kustra says, $5. Who decided he was going to be fired if he doesn't for say win the SEC next year?
Huh?
He just wins a few games. He says, who decided he was gonna be fired?
Nobody decided he was going to be fired, we're assuming. But at the same time, he doesn't have to win the SEC to keep his job next year. I think he just has to show some sort of improvement. You can't win 5 games next year. You really can't win 6. I would hope you could win 7, or like I'll say this: if you win 6, but you have very, very close games against like Texas, or if you pull off a close game against Georgia, okay, cool. That's showing improvement because you've gotten blown out by 20 last time that you played them. Maybe you beat a Florida State, or you beat 2 or 3 rivals. Like, okay, all right, maybe we're talking. Oh, maybe we'll keep you here. And by the moves that they've made, like we just talked, maybe the plan is to keep him one more year. Maybe the plan is to keep him for a long time. I don't know, but Scott Strickland probably knows he's going to be out the door if Billy Napier doesn't work out. So he's probably pulling out all the stops too. So we don't know if this is a pull out all the stops thing, or if this is a hey, he might be here for a little bit.
Hold on. Checking, see everything's breaking here.
Everything's broken, man. What'd you do?
Checking the Twitter world. The thing's
Oh,
on
by the
fire,
way,
right?
oh shoot! By the way, while that thing's broken, Georgia just scored on Florida State again.
I love it. Okay, let's see.
Got going over there, man. Well, what's the
real quick. Tell your boy Dave Waters to dial it in. He just tweeted this 29 minutes ago. He was, I'll admit it, I jumped on the bandwagon. Suits is an awesome show. You missed the wave like 3 times, Dave. Like what? Like what's up?
Hey, take it easy on us. We're old, man. He's 40. I'm 39.
That's fair. He's got yeah. He's got kids and shit. All right, let's look. I had other things, but we're already an hour in. And Saban really took up a lot of the show, and Saban deserved every bit of what he got today. We were going to talk a little bit of recruiting. We're going to move past that, and we had some roster talk, which we'll save. I mean, none of this stuff is time sensitive.
I was going to say you might as well save recruiting, especially portal, because it's probably going to change now that Nick Saban retired.
Yeah, it's 100% true. I mean, the whole world is on fire. Look, I was telling Dave, I was like, we got to talk a little bit about recruiting because we're moving into that, and he's like, it's definitely going to lose a little bit of its pizzazz because of how last year closed and with the portal and things like that. But it's definitely something we're going to be, keeping track. And it's going to be interesting to watch. What does Billy do because of the noise of him not going anywhere? But, I wonder if Saban being fired, if it changes the landscape of things. Seeing him being a top 10 guy to be favored to go to Alabama. Again, these are just odds. But for that name to even be on the list with him being on the hot, it's an interesting thing to look at. It's very intriguing that he's being considered for as much hate as we give him. It's something weird to look at. And like if could see that and they go, okay, well, Saban's gone. Like I think we'll see how this whole landscape shifts around and shakes up a little bit. But again, you also want to hold back and be like, do we really want to fire after we just saw what happened? It's just another shuffle in the mix. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really weird because he's like the 8th guy on the list, like from the top, and he's right behind Urban Meyer, which is funny.
Interesting.
But I mean, that's Vegas and how they do their odds and all that stuff. It really, you can't really take much away from it, but it is kind of interesting.
Real quick, BAMA has 7 commits right now for 2025, 2 5-stars and 5 4-stars with a 95 average.
Well, depending on who they get, they may not have it anymore.
I know, but I'm just saying. And Mason Short is actually for 2025, so he's not even for 2024. So he is set to visit. So he's gone. He gonna go be a dog is what it looks like.
You talk about the offensive lineman.
Yeah. He tweeted today. So let's dive into tweets of the week because again, hell of a show. But we're gonna save the other things to discuss later on. But man,
makes sense to save just for next week, just because of what happened. Because a lot of things are probably going to change on that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I think the time for these portal guys to sign is going to be coming up next week as well. So we'll see how it all plays out. But let's get into tweaks of the week. I mean, we're an hour in, and the show's been fine. I was so pumped to do the show. It's been a great show thus far.
Yeah, and before we go in tweets of the week. So when a head coach gets fired, as they've made an NCAA rule that if a head coach gets fired or they retire or they quit, all the kids on the roster that are currently committed or signed has 30 days to transfer. And it's just a complete open window. It has nothing to do with what transfer portal dates are here or there. It's just for that certain team, those guys can transfer for up to 30 days and enter their name in the portal.
Wild. It's fun. It's gonna be an interesting 30 days, I'd say.
Yeah, it will be a good month.
Yeah,
hopefully
should be. Tweet of the week. Love this one here. First order of business. Let me shrink us here. Nobody needs to see us. They need to see the tweets. Shrink Dave and I.
Yeah, blow that beat you up.
All right, first order. I love this one. FSU has canceled. They spelled canceled wrong. Classes tomorrow due to a storm coming. Any word about UF? Pat Losa says being this soft is why a school loses a bowl game by 60. Hey, Pat, you are not wrong, my friend. W on that day. Next up, we've got, this is gold. This guy tweeted, he says, this guy is complaining. He says, look at number 17 on this play, making fun of Scooby at the LSU game, playing lacklusterly. Texas A&M tweeted it on January 6th. I think like the day of or shortly after, they also got Scooby and said, look at your entire defense. And then everyone's like, you mean your defense now? Because they have Jaden Hill. Kimber was...
They literally recruited our whole defense.
Yeah. Like literally. The D-line, the linebacker coach, which is Scooby Williams, is a coach who is in no man's land. Look at him here. Like, who are you covering? Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be middle linebacker, bud.
Hey, I got a long time ago on Twitter. I said Joe Burrow is an average quarterback the year before he won the national championship.
Yeah, that's you watch your mouth.
I took it was all in good fun, baby.
This guy's an absolute bitch on Twitter. I had to mute his stuff because it's just like I'm tired of seeing his nonsense. He tweeted out back in January 2nd of last year, says FSU is the best quarterback in the state for the third year. Welcome DJU. Oh, no, this was this January. Excuse me. FSU is the best quarterback in the state for the third year in a row. Welcome DJ Ugalali. And then on 9/4/21, he tweeted DJ Ugalali is cheeks. how the tables have turned. That's how it works, though.
It's quite funny how like when somebody joins a team, how they say that they're great and this might work out, but then 2 years later or 2 years before, they were just trash. So,
yeah.
Hey, look, if I will say this, if we signed DJU, I would be pretty upset. So
I would be too. Jim Harbaugh, after 2 years of coaching the Bears, bro, I swear it's his Jim Harbaugh's dad is not Jim Harbaugh. It's Jim Harbaugh with makeup on. Like it's like one of those like bad grandpa. Like that's Jim Harbaugh's dad. I refuse to believe that that's his father. Like the how much they look alike. The whole Harbaugh family tree outside the mom, like it's unreal. It is. It's like they're triplets. They're triplets.
It's the big chins.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's the glasses and the hat too. Like it's Jim to a T. I love it. ESPN making Lee Corso stand up for the entire game has to be illegal. They're speaking of Harbaugh.
He's had so much done to his face, it doesn't move. Like his face doesn't move.
Dude,
there's no wrinkles on his face, and it doesn't move.
They've got to have him like they drag him to set. Like there's no way. Like I love Lee Corso and I love College Game Day, but they know that College Game Day is about as it's just being held on by his face is. It's about that's what's holding it together. All right, it's this it's close.
Corso said, "Hey, I love this so much. I'm gonna die on set. I don't care."
That's true. Look, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I love the guy.
I do too, man.
Bang! FSU takes a 2-score lead in the Cancun football playoffs. Dave doesn't quit. Dave doesn't quit. The NCAA compliance office coming to vacate Michigan's natty the second the clock strikes 0.
Hold on a minute, player.
Don't be coming after America's team like that. Orange Blue Gator strikes again. I retweeted this. This was incredible. Right when they won, tweet from Dave Portnoy on 11/30/2019. Harbaugh tweeted, or Portnoy tweeted, "Fire Harbaugh," and Freezing Cold Takes retweeted it at perfect timing.
Well, it's like if Billy Napier was to win a national championship. You know how many fire Napier tweets we can pull up?
Jesus. Not me, not I. I'm clean. I'm clean of that. I'm innocent. For context, Ugga football players were on the sideline eating chicken wings during the game when they faced Mike Norvell's team.
Yeah, so the joke behind that was actually last year's playoff against
Yeah, I was
TCU.
like that. I could see it. Yeah, I was like, I can see the year. I was like, I think it's last year, but whatever. This is gold, Dave. You tweeted this. Trav McThree is a buddy of mine. He's a Miami fan. He enjoyed it. And I was like, you got Miami fans laughing, which is pretty good. Their new quarterback, what's his name?
It's like Puffenberger or some shit like that. I can't even pronounce it right.
Here's what Dave posted. He says, Mario when Jakuri goes 3 and out 3 times in the swamp.
Rosenberger, warm up.
That was good. That was creative. That was well done. Not
Oh,
enough
man.
likes. Not enough likes. I think it kind of whatever people said. That was well done. I enjoyed it when I
Hey,
saw it.
you know what? That is an old movie, so probably a lot of the younger generation probably never saw it. So,
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, look, this. We're gonna close out with your boy here.
oh,
Saying
Will, that's my
saying
guy. Man.
saying farewell to Nick Saban. Here we go.
Used it with Willie.
Yeah, I ain't too excited about that.
I know it, but look here. All good things come to an end.
Yeah, but my main man is stepping down.
I know it, but listen.
The greatest coach there is.
I know it.
Can't anybody beat him.
I know it. Look, listen. He's the
No,
greatest coach there ever was. He's the greatest. He'll go down as the greatest coach ever. Listen to me. But listen.
This right here hurts.
I know it hurts you, and it hurts me. It hurts every Bama fan. And everybody that's not a Bama fan should appreciate the greatness that he's done for college football.
He is the greatest coach of all.
He's the greatest one there ever was.
Boy, nobody ever beat him.
I know it. Look, it hurts, but you know, Nick Saban, it's time for him to retire. I don't like him retiring, but you know.
Who's going to fill his shoes?
Listen.
These right here is going to fill them.
You gonna
They
do it.
hire me, I will take over.
I know it, but listen.
And one thing I will do, I am not going to put up with paying the players.
Well, that's just one of those things that's
No, they done stupid by doing that. That's Nick is retired now. He couldn't get his players to do what he wanted to do on account of that bullshit.
It ain't funny, Willie. It ain't funny, but you're right. Listen to me though. Nick Saban's the greatest coach ever was.
There's another thing, that transfer hustle. You go to the university, we paying you to go there. You're about to stay there till you retire. Till you graduate, all right? Hell, I'm all upset. I don't know what the hell I'm saying.
You're upset, ain't you, Willie?
I'm mad.
It's all right. Look, we're gonna be all right.
What if after the filming stops, he goes, "Hey, we done? All right, cool, man. Yeah, that's crazy." He just like, clicks it off. He's like, "Y'all damn right. Are we good? All right, cool. And scene."
I like Roll Tide Willie. I'd have a beer with him.
Dude, bro, he was crying, bro. Had me tearing up a little bit for a quick second. I was like, "Damn, bro, dude, it's."
Well, I mean,
It's sad. It sucks. It's like exciting because there's like, whoa, this is gonna be electric, but it's a somber day for college football. You can't sit here and say that you're not sad about it. It's just one of those things, man. It's just you hated them beating you for so long. You hate seeing Bama there, but at the same time, it's just like when the Patriots won all those years. Right, when Tom Brady was in it. People say, "Oh, I hate the Patriots. I don't want the Patriots. I want a new team in there." No, you don't. No, you don't. Because the moment the Patriots weren't in there, nobody watched the Super Bowl. You love somebody to hate, and you love somebody to cheer for. And Bama always gave you that person that you were either going for because you were rooting for the SEC, or everybody was against them because you were tired of them winning. It's something special about something that dominance that you don't get too often. That you love to see it. You love to hate to see it. That makes sense. So. Whether he was on your side or not, you got to appreciate what he was able to do. And like we said, we created a whole segment, "Oh, reliable," because you knew if it was close, Saban was going to find a way to get. It didn't matter who was playing, and that's something that's always been weird to me. Is like there's some great Alabama players, greats, but it's almost always been overshadowed by Nick Saban. It's not like the LSU, like Joey Burrow, the Jamar Chases. Like they have studs. They've got Cooper, Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson. The list goes on. Jalen Hurts, of phenomenal players. For me, I could be wrong here. I've never once thought like, oh, those guys went to Bama, just because I think Saban's always done a phenomenal job of keeping it as a unit. No one guy ever shined bigger than the brand itself at Bama. That's my opinion on that, and I think that's something special.
And a lot of people will say, well, it's easy to win, or it's easy to keep it as a unit while you're winning and winning multiple national championships. Well, he started from not winning any when he got there. So he earned his way to doing that. And I think a lot of coaches, especially, I mean, you're starting to kind of see kind of Kirby Smart earning his way, doing that a little bit. I mean, obviously he's not Nick Saban right now, and hopefully he never gets there because he's coaching the University of Georgia. But you see around college football, like a lot of coaches having trouble with certain things that Nick Saban really doesn't. And you know what else I'm going to miss from Nick Saban? His press conferences, man. I used to love watching his press conferences, whether he got mad, whether he made an analogy, whether he made something like that. Like, all of his press conferences were so interesting, and, like, even though I was never an Alabama fan, I would always find myself, like, watching a clip of one of his press conferences, and then if it was very entertaining, I would go back and watch the whole press conference to see.
You wanted to listen.
Yeah, you wanted to listen to his press conferences sometimes just because they were that entertaining, and the fact that, like, I used to love it when he'd get pissed. Like, it was so funny. Like, like, he talked about, I remember him picking up, like, a Coke bottle or a Pepsi bottle, and he was referring to, like, a Coke bottle as a recruit or something like that. It was complete like, he made a good point with it. Like, he made a very, very valid good point with it, but it was just hilarious to listen to.
It's going to be college football is going to be on its head. We knew it was going to be crazy this year, but it's off to an absolute banger. I mean, 2024 is off to a hot start. Jacksonville says, no Sheldon, it's Shelton with a T. Says Super Bowls have been much better without the Patriots. That's a cold take. Okay, first of all.
I'm not an NFL.
What I was referring to is, like, during that stretch that New England had. Yeah, the last few years, nobody's cared. Like, Tampa Tom was the best Tom ever. Like, I didn't once Tom left New England, like, yes, I didn't care about New England anymore. But when he was there, it was fun having the GOAT in the game. Whether you want him to win or not win, it was fun watching those games. So during that era, I don't know how old you are, but during that time, it was something special. And you I remember as a kid, I cheered against them. You're like, I don't want the Patriots there, but it was just so fun when they were there. Like, either you were devastated or excited. It was fun to watch. Like, this national championship was a weird one for me. I didn't care who won.
I would like to see who beat the Patriots back when they were good. Like, I thought that was interesting when they get to playoffs. Like, can this team beat them? Can that team beat them?
Kind of what Bama's been, right? But
right.
That's how they've been. It's like, who's gonna take it down? And it's been tough for quite some time. Yeah, we did get a commit today. Do you see that? Charles Emmanuel walk on.
Yeah, it's a PWO. Yeah, preferred walk on.
Hey, we're back.
We're back. Hey, we got the best PW, number one PWO team nationwide.
Yeah, we need to get a separate list for that.
Our walk-ons will stop your walk-ons any day. Our walk-ons would probably score against Florida State.
Hey, how about this real quick before we head out? ESPN suspends Aaron Rodgers from going on the Pat McAfee show for the rest of the season. I don't know. I'm assuming the NFL season. I'm assuming. Yeah, wild couple of days here in 2024. For anybody that doesn't know what's going on, Rodgers made a subtle jab to Jimmy Kimmel about being on the Jeffrey Epstein list. Jimmy Kimmel piped back on Twitter, like saying, "Hey, do you want to, like, if you're going to accuse me as a pedophile, we're going to go into court about this." Then Jimmy Kimmel went on his show, called Aaron Rodgers an idiot, basically, kind of went on a little bit of a rant. Then Aaron Rodgers responded on Pat McAfee's show to his comment, trying to defend himself. And I'm watching this. I'm like, this is a bunch of high schoolers, bro. Like, just talk to each other. Y'all going on different shows, yelling at one another. Imano this shit. It's like the people in the chat, they're talking shit. I give you the opportunity to call in and run your damn mouth. Don't be talking third person to me. Just talk to me. And got suspended. Pat actually came out, was like, I'm so glad this is over. Thank God. He's like, I love Aaron. Appreciate you. But this has been like, but he pops him on here and Pat's over here sweating bullets because he's getting to a damn conspiracy pissing contest with him. It's been wild to watch. It's like I said, we're 10 days in, and 2024 has not disappointed by any stretch.
Yeah, I mean, like me, I don't waste my time on anybody like a rival fan base saying whatever to me, unless it's entertaining and funny. Then I might chime in a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I don't. And Rodgers and then they just go back and forth. Well, it's like you said, like, if you got something to say to me, man, just talk to me.
Lock it in. We got college football. Hey, Feinball looks Feinball. I'm watching him right now on SEC Networks. Looks obliterated on the news. I was watching his show. Hold on.
God.
He looks like his dog just died. He's like about to cry.
Paul Feinball.
On his show, he goes, all the Nick has said to himself from the horse's mouth himself. He goes, the school hasn't confirmed the news yet. like there's still hope, Paul. There's still hope.
Oh,
I love it.
God. Well, look, I know Paul Feinbaum's show consists of 80% Alabama and 20% everybody else, but man, like, look, if it's over, it's over, man.
Yeah, it's over. Gators are down 4 in basketball against Ole Miss. They got to close. They got to win this football. They got to win this basketball game. Them boys got to dial it in. They're getting too close. Todd Seat's going to be out here next. We're going to be freaking out on him, and Mike White's over here winning more games at Georgia. So,
Isn't Ole Miss what, like 13-1?
yeah, but they're not ranked.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, Aspects, thanks for my weekly dose of High Top. Love the opinions and insight. Hope you guys have a good evening, fellas. You all as well. Smash the like button. We were 600, 900 strong in here at one point. Hell of a show. Loved it. Had a great time here with you boys. It's felt good to get it out. Felt good to talk about it. Love the opportunity that we get to have these conversations and people listen and dial in. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Retirement's far, far away for us, boys. We're far, far removed from that. So no need to worry about us quitting anytime soon. But you guys be good.
The only thing that's on its way to its retirement
is what?
I said the only thing that's on its way to retirement is my hairline. So
okay, good. Yeah, that's true. Boys, turn the bell on. I expect it to be a spicy week. I think it's gonna be fun. So let's be ready. Let's stay dialed in. I expect more shows throughout the week. So like I said, I probably will be live for the next 4 or 5 days. So be boogity, be sexy, be razzle dazzled. Love you guys. Till next time, I'm Sheldon.
And I just report the news.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.